Stephen A., your Steelers 10-0 taking on the Ravens. We got another good Thursday night football matchup, guys. Stephen A., do you think this game is more about Pittsburgh or Baltimore, though?
I think it's more about the Ravens. I think it's more about us finding out who the Ravens are. They've got the number one rushing attack in football, obviously because of Lamar Jackson, and they've got the second worst passing attack, arguably because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has played in 10 NFL games this year, and he hasn't even thrown for 2,000 yards yet on the season. Ladies and gentlemen, that's less than 200 yards per game. That's not going to cut the mustard. Not in a conference that has Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson and Big Ben Roethlisberger. And if you want to give some props, not even Phillip Rivers with what he's doing in Indy, or Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee, or Josh Allen in Buffalo. Just look at all of these names that come before Lamar Jackson when it comes to throwing the football right now. So you got to find that out. More importantly than that, even though they're the third-ranked defense, all right, they're 16th against the rush, and they got pushed around and beat up by the Tennessee Titans this past weekend. And so in terms of their toughness, when you consider the games that customarily come associated with the Steelers going up against the Ravens, this is usually smash-mouth football, take no prisoners. You know what? You just leave it all out on the field. We ain't backing down from anybody. We're not getting pushed around. We're not going to have an A.J. Brown catch a pass and spin and get pushed into the end zone and bowled over like they did like what happened last week against Tennessee. The Steelers are not going to do that. That's the kind of attitude that the Ravens should have in this game. They should be committed to finding out who they are and what they're made of. It's not about the score in a game like this. It's about playing smash-mouth football, making sure you don't get punked and showing your mettle. The Steelers are undefeated at 10 and something like that. We know their defense is elite. We know that Big Ben Roethlisberger is an MVP candidate. We know that when he goes 5 wide with all of those receivers, with Juju Smith-Schuster and Claypool and James Washington and Deontay Johnson and all of these boys, we know how lethal of an offense they can be with their passing attack. We get all of that about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who the hell are the Baltimore Ravens? For the first time in damn near 2 decades, we're looking at them and saying, what the hell is their identity? There is no Ray Lewis. There is no Ed Reed. There is no Terrell Suggs. There's nobody like that. Somebody who is going to have to stand the hell up and show who the hell they are and what this organization is supposed to stand for. I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm good with it. But the bottom line is that if you're the Ravens, that's what this is about for you. This is about more than an outcome. This is about more than just a football game. This is you against the Steelers with an opportunity to remind the world who the hell you are traditionally as a franchise. To the Steelers, it's not just another game, but only because it's an AFC North battle. To the Ravens, this season is on the line.
I think that they both are going to have great careers in the National Football League, but I don't think the Dolphins are regretting getting the person that they wanted the entire time. At least that's what they say, right? I mean, they say we wanted Tua this entire time. Now, look, he goes up against the Denver Broncos, and he goes up against Vic Fangio, who's a decent schemer in terms of defensive game plans. He's one of the old heads in the National Football League on the defensive side of the ball. He gives him a little bit of a problem. And late in the game, they made a decision that Ryan Fitzpatrick was probably best suited to engineer a 2-minute drive late in the game rather than Tua.
He almost did it.
And he almost did it. So the coach was putting them in a situation to win with 2 minutes to go in a game, or less than 2 minutes to go in a game on a 2-minute situation. I don't have a problem with that. Doesn't mean that he's benching him and he doesn't like him anymore. I don't want to even start that narrative.
Indeed, Jay, he's going to start against the Jets on Sunday. What do you think?
Well, I can start against the Jets. Sorry.
Well, actually, Key, I disagree. I disagree with you, man. I actually do have a problem with it. I know that you said that, hey, Brian Flores is putting his team in the best position to win the game by putting Fitzpatrick on the field. But what does that do to your rookie quarterback? How do you allow him to continue to grow if you don't allow him to battle through difficult times, right?
But Jay, that the coaches know, Jay, the pulse of their team and their quarterback that they've been in the room with far greater than we do. And for whatever reason that he went to Fitzy.
Key, we know that the coaches know the pulse of the team better, but I mean, we still have disagree with what those coaches have decided to do in those spur of the moments. I mean, we've talked about this multiple times. I mean, I'm not comparing them, okay, because Bill O'Brien is way different than Brian Flores, I would say. It's like, well, Bill O'Brien, he knows his team better than anybody else. It doesn't mean that we agree with every decision that Bill O'Brien or Brian Flores makes. I'm just giving the argument that when you take your rookie quarterback, after you've handed him the reins, you said, Ryan Fitzpatrick, okay, you are not here anymore. You're still here as a backup in case something happens to Tua. But by inserting him in the game at that juncture and now allowing Tua, a guy that you're saying we're handing you the keys to the franchise to work through that moment, that allows opportunities for guys like Greeny and the media to start digging deeper and have these type of conversations about, well, now we wonder if Tua is actually the answer to this team long term. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but of course he's the answer to him. He was just the 5th pick. They just gave him, again, follow the breadcrumbs. They just gave him a boatload of money as a 5th pick in the draft. They inserted him into the lineup when they went 3-3. He went 3-1 as a starter. What's the problem? They're right in the hunt to win the division or make a wild card playoff spot. So I don't see what the problem is. Taking and putting a veteran quarterback in that can engineer a 2-minute drive, which, by the way, he damn near did. That is a coaching decision opposed to putting a kid out there that was struggling at the time. This is his first opportunity to engineer a 2-minute drive. You might as well let the veteran dude do it so we can stay within contention.
Key, what if he did do it? What if Ryan Fitzpatrick won that game? Do you not think the conversation then spirals? I've also been on this show with you when we've talked about Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. And you're like, well, you can't go back and forth because then it creates dissent in locker rooms and the media gets involved and you make one pick or the other. Now you're saying it's okay to do just because they were trying to win that game at that particular time?
Different quarterbacks, different situations. Mitch Trubisky is on his way out. Tua is on his way in. 2 different situations. I got a guy exiting in Mitch Trubisky. I don't want to go back and forward with Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky. But if I got a young quarterback with a veteran guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick right there with him who is going to tutor him and teach him how to play the position at a pro level, I don't have a problem inserting him into the lineup with 2 minutes to go because he's showing you how to run a 2-minute drive in a hostile environment with a tough defense that has basically kicked your butt the entire game.
I just disagree with you on this one, man. I think that's a battle that you let Tua work out. And if you're going to commit to him, then commit to him. Like if you're saying, hey, we are handing you the keys, as long as you're not injured, like I just think that you've also told me, Key, that you think a lot of quarterbacks going back and forth, like even with what we were talking about Carson Wentz. I'm saying, hey, play Jalen Hurts. You're like, well, look, Jay, I'm trying to tell you, quarterbacks are sensitive, man. Like you've said this to me off camera multiple times.
They are sensitive, but you're
sensitive.
Dealing with a different kid here and a different type of personality. Going back and forth with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts is not ready to take over after I just paid somebody $100 and something million. I'm $40+ million on the books. I'm not even thinking about playing Jalen Hurts, no matter how bad the Carson Wentz situation goes.
The last thing I would mention
Agree
there.
to disagree, Zubin, on that one.
Gotcha. The last thing I would just mention there, the Dolphins are